Greetings, everyone. Now, if you've heard the story before, then just ignore it. But for the new subscribers who always ask me questions, and sometimes I just don't remember the title of the video that I did before, so I just do it again. Now, I'm going to share some duppy stories with you. And the reason for doing that is so I can appeal to the individuals who are interested in these kind of topics. As a kid growing up, I had a terrible fear for the darkness. And this fear came from the fact that I was left alone at home as a little girl, 4 or 5 years old, on more than one occasion, getting up in the middle of the night and no adult around, left alone in a dark house. So the fear came from that. So you see, we have to tap in to find out where these fears lie. You don't just get up and be fearful of something. It's through some kind of experience that you build these fears. And we continue to hold on to these fears. And what they do with us or to us is limit us, prevent us from being powerful. So the fear then came from this darkness. It came also from, as a little girl, hearing adults talk about copy doppy, not knowing what it was, in a newspaper, and seeing my mother bringing this newspaper in the house and then leaving me alone as a 4-year-old and going away for the entire day, and not being able to understand that what they were discussing was actually news in a paper. It wasn't real. So I then, as a 4 or 5-year-old child, seeing her take this paper in the house, thinking that, well, if she's talking about the paper and looking at the picture in the paper and then bring that paper in the house, then that means the spirit is inside that house as well. Staying out of that house for the entire day, not eating as a 4 or 5-year-old kid, and getting beaten at the end of the day because I didn't do the dishes that I was told to do. Now you understand how that would even create more of a fear for me and in me. See? As I got older, saw things, whether through dreams or just having this sixth sense that something is going to happen. As a child, adults coming to me, and if you're Jamaican, telling me, tell me your dream, tell me what number to buy. And back then they call it the Japan. Now it's cash pot. But as a kid, you used to have people come to our community and sell numbers, and people would buy numbers based on dreams. And I, as a little girl, 7 or 8-year-old kid, would be giving adults dreams or giving them numbers, and they would actually win. So then I start feeling like there was something a little different for me. Fast forwarding to recently, when a 5-year-old, and the other day I said 6, 7, but he's actually 5 years old, who looked at me and said to me, out of the blues, this baby playing, and just gets up and comes to me and says, your dreams are not necessarily a gift. It's the universe communicating with you. That child stayed with me 4 days, and I never saw that kid again. It just was in and out. He was supposed to come and bring message. Remember, we are supposed to get messages from the universe, and it will come through what you call coincidence. It may come to you through your intuition. It might come through you to what would seem like serendipity. It comes through you through different forms. So you have to identify. Maybe in another video I can tell you how to identify the different ways in which the universe communicates with you. So here's a good example. A year ago, or approximately, not too much before a year or after a year, I think it's a year and maybe a month or so, I lived in another location, and I was at home, and all of a sudden I had the urge to go and take out my garbage. And I thought to myself, why? My husband usually takes the garbage out, and he's very religious about doing it every evening. But this was in the daytime, and I know not to resist. I know not to ignore it. I'm complaining and I'm saying I'm not going to do it, but I always do it anyway. So I went upstairs to go throw the garbage out. At the time, I lived in a basement apartment. So I go up the stairs and I get to the door that I'm supposed to exit. And at the top of the door, there's a mirror. The window at the top and the bottom is like a sort of steel material at the bottom of the door. When I stood there and I was about to open the door, I could see shadows below. And when I looked through the little glass portion at the top of the door, I saw my landlord bending down with something in his hand. So I opened the door, and he was so frightened. All he could do, he was just on his knees and he could just look up at me. And he had oil in a vial, sprinkling it at the back of my door. And I was so frightened, I shut the door back real fast. And then I ran back downstairs, and then I came up. When I came up, he was doing the same thing around the garbage bin. And I said to him, "Oh, you're stopping them from coming in?" Because somehow I felt this urge to give him an escape, to provide him with an excuse as to what he was doing. And he says, yeah. He kind of hesitated for a while, and then he said, yeah. And he left. And of course, my spirit said to me, "You find yourself downstairs." I went downstairs, I got myself some lemons, and I happened to have some rum, some Jamaican rum. And I went upstairs and I sprinkled salt on the spot. I opened the lemon juice, I squeeze it there, and then I pour alcohol in the spot. That's what my spirit told me to do. After that day, he was terrified of me. Every time he saw me, he would go east or west. He would just stay away from me. And what I want to tell people, you can live in denial all you want, and you can say to yourself, everybody is saying kumbaya and holding hands and appealing to the precious Jesus that they try to camouflage us with. Understand that a lot of people understand the sciences, and this man happened to be someone from India. And a lot of these individuals understand the sciences and they work with it. Now, I'm not trying to judge him, but what he was trying to do to me was dark. And I listened to my spirit, and I got the tools and the knowledge how to reverse what he was doing. Many of us are walking around with curses on us. Many of us are walking around with jinxes on our lives. And because we are not aware of it, or because we live in denial, or because we want to say that these things are not real, you can stay there, thinking it isn't real. We live in a world where we're dealing with duality, light and darkness, so-called good and evil, yin and yang. All these things must operate. Sometimes we look around and we say, why is this evil man or woman always seem to be going out there and getting their blessings? Why are these wicked people always existing and living so long, and the good ones going out and dying, or the good ones suffering? I'm trying to live right, and I'm, in penance every day. I live a righteous life, and my life is this way. Please understand the universe, understand this duality, and it's not judged. So the one who goes out there and continues to do what is perceived to be evil and still win, here's the difference. Here's what's happening with this person. And it can also happen with someone who does good. When you go out there, it's not the thing that you conceive in your mind that makes the thing come true. It's the purpose and the intention of how you think about the thing. You think about it, that's not enough to bring it into reality. It's how you are determined to walk in that and make it happen. Your determination and walking, your actions is what makes the difference. And so the one who walks with that same determination, the action going towards what he or she wants, must receive it. And the karma is not then applied to that person. Bad karma, that is not then applied to that person because they go after their intention. So even though your intention is good, and the things that you're thinking of are beautiful, but you're not walking it, you're not claiming it, you're not saying to yourself, you know what? I am going to get this education. I'm going to register for school. I'm going to take the courses. I'm going to go every day. I'm going to do the assignments. You're saying to yourself, oh, I want to be a doctor. You will never be a doctor, because what you think in your mind is not sufficient. It's the determination in which you walk into that purpose that is going to create that thing. So in terms of seeing wickedness prolonging and existing in the world, people are not being punished because they're evil, because the duality is there, and we're all given choices to do this or that. You call it light, someone else call it darkness. This individual, whatever his agenda was, I know what it was, and I don't feel like saying it now, but he's tapping into what he knows and using it to achieve his end. But because I also believe in protecting myself and understand that I can't do that myself, that I depend on the energies around me and within me to teach me, and I am listening, I'm always obeying. So if I'm standing somewhere and I'm told to move and I move without question, I'm fine. But the moment I start questioning what I'm told, even sometimes when I hear something, I have a habit of saying to someone, I got to tell you this because I'm not sure, but I need a witness. And I have to learn to stop doing that now because it's an insult to the spirits who've always come through time and time. They've never made any mistakes. And when I have followed instructions and have followed guidance, I have never been disappointed. Good or bad, in or out, we're talking about duality. And I think it's time, especially Black people, to start to know more than just these Negro spirituals. These Negro spirituals have not helped you. It didn't help the slaves. It didn't help the enslaved people, those who escaped. Harriet Tubman, she did say if many of these people understood that they were slaves, they would have been freed. It's not the ones who sing kumbaya. It's not even the communication they had between each other about their oppression. It's the one who said, I am going to put an end to this and I'm going to do what I need to do to escape this. And I think it's the same attitude. Those who are in poverty, who live in certain impoverished neighborhoods in Africa or in Jamaica, wherever you are as an African person, and you see these individuals with the same experience, yet they come out. It's that determination, that thought put to action. And also, they understand that this is spirit and man coexisting in the space. And what the other person achieves, so can you. But you can't do it without recognizing the ancestors. This is why many of us are left to die like dogs, because we're not acknowledging her roots. We're not acknowledging our ancestors. We are asking, they can't protect us. They can't help us because we have not even recognized what they have gone through. We've not recognized, we have no memory. Most of us don't have memory of what they've gone through. When I say memory, you hear about it, but you spend no time to appeal or appease to the energies to say, this happened. And this is one of the reasons why, for me particularly, one of the reasons why I want to go to Africa is to go to that castle. Not just to make connections with them in other places that I have, going to the Paul Bogle March and making connection there, because my life changed after I did that. But also going to Africa, going to that castle to make connection with the energy and the spirit that still live in that space. Imagine how powerful that is, to go to that place where the energies and the spirit of loved ones long gone are there to comfort us and to guide us and to teach us. And those of you who don't want to hear these things, that's too bad for you. I'm sorry that I offend you spiritually, but it's my truth. Ghosts, evil spirits, and people assume that because we say ghosts, it's evil. That's not true. In another topic, again, I could talk about spirits and the nature of different kinds of spirits and the importance of being careful about who you are appealing to. Know what you're doing. So for me, I am a dreamer. I'm someone who can physically be awake and see something before it happens, physically hear a conversation before it occurs. I know my strength and my weaknesses, and what I am learning, what I'm being taught, like through a word being downloaded in my mind, or something happens in a dream to lead me to whatever, and I find out other things. But to say offer sacrifices, like someone was asking me about blood sacrifices this morning, offer blood sacrifices, not something I would venture in because I don't know enough. But what I do know is there's a shield of protection around me and my family, and anything can happen, anything can be penetrated. But as long as you understand that the power that someone have to try to destroy you, you have that same power to counteract that and to destroy that, shatter it. That individual was hoping to go to court and to use his magic to have his way with us. And because I broke it, it cost him and not me. Stay blessed.